Please, pretend to be my husband, she pleaded to a stranger, not knowing that he was her boss. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The soft glow of late afternoon sunlight spilled across the lobby of the downtown courthouse as Lily Hart stepped through the revolving doors, her heart pounding so loudly she swore the security guard could hear it. She clutched the strap of her thrift store purse like it was a lifeline. Her breath trembled, her palms were damp. Today, of all days, her world had decided to crash. Her landlord had given her a 3-day notice. Her ex-boyfriend had reappeared like a bad season rerun, demanding she pay off the credit card debt he had secretly opened in her name. And now, the final blow, she had just found out she needed a legal spouse to keep her ailing grandmother on her health plan. A ridiculous, impossible requirement buried in some insurance clause she never knew existed. She kept whispering under her breath, "Think, Lily, think," but panic drowned out every thought. People rushed around her, attorneys in tailored suits, clerks holding stacks of files, couples whispering anxiously, but Lily felt like a glitch in the room, out of place, underdressed, invisible. Until her eyes landed on him. A man standing alone near the end of the hallway, tall, well-built, wearing a charcoal button-up and dark slacks, sleeves rolled past his elbows. His posture was calm, grounded, like he belonged anywhere he stood. His face, handsome in a quiet, rugged way, held a hint of exhaustion, like he'd just come from a long negotiation or maybe a long life. Lily didn't know why her feet started moving toward him. Maybe desperation. Maybe instinct. Maybe fate disguised as madness. She only knew one thing: she needed someone, anyone, who looked respectable enough to fool an insurance officer, and he looked like the universe had carved him specifically for first impressions. Her voice wavered as she approached him. "Hi, excuse me. I know this is crazy, but could you please pretend to be my husband? Just for 5 minutes. The man blinked, stunned, eyebrows lifting as if she had spoken in another language. "I'm sorry, what?" Lily swallowed hard, words tumbling out faster than her breath. "I know how it sounds. Insane. Completely insane. But I'm in trouble, and I just need someone to stand next to me and nod. You don't have to sign anything, you don't have to touch me, you don't have to even talk. Just exist convincingly." She forced a thin, shaky smile. "You seem good at existing convincingly." For a moment he simply stared at her, trying to process the whirlwind that had just collided into his quiet afternoon. Then, unexpectedly, he let out a soft, disbelieving laugh. Not mocking, more like surprised at the absurdity of life. "You don't even know my name," he said gently. "I don't need your name," she whispered back. "I just need help." And something in her voice, something trembling, honest, raw, stopped him from walking away. He exhaled slowly, studying her eyes, the fear behind them, the determination holding her upright. Finally he nodded once. "Okay. I'll help you." Relief hit Lily so hard her knees nearly buckled. "Thank you," she breathed. "Thank you so much. I swear I'll explain everything after," but she didn't get to finish, because at that exact moment, from the far end of the hallway, a woman in a navy skirt suit called out, "Mr. Cole. We're ready for your deposition." Lily froze. "Mr. Cole?" She slowly turned back to him. He looked different now. Sharper. Like a mask had been lifted. He gave her a small, apologetic smile, one that somehow made him look even more powerful. "Looks like I didn't get a chance to tell you," he murmured. "I actually work here." Lily's stomach dropped. Not just work here. The way the clerk had said his name, respectfully, nervously, told her everything she needed to know. She had begged her own boss to pretend to be her husband. And she had no idea. The real story was only just beginning. Lily stood frozen as the name Mr. Cole echoed down the hallway, each syllable landing like a small explosion in her chest. Her mind scrambled to process what it meant, what she had just done, who she had just begged to pretend to be her husband. He was not just some well-dressed stranger standing alone near the wall. He was her boss. Her direct superior. The man whose name appeared on every email header she had seen but never connected to a face. And she had just asked him to help her commit the most ridiculous, borderline unhinged request of her life. He looked at her with a calm that confused her, like he was used to seeing people fall apart in front of him and had learned to hold his reaction steady. "We will talk after my deposition," he said quietly. "Do not run away." Something about his voice made her nod automatically. Maybe it was the authority in it. Maybe the reassurance disguised beneath it. He walked away with the clerk, and Lily pressed her back to the wall, covering her face with both hands. "Great, Lily," she whispered. "Fantastic. Ask your boss to be your fake husband. Totally normal. Totally fine." She paced a small circle on the polished floor, trying to slow her heartbeat. 15 minutes ago, she had felt like she was drowning in her own life. Now she felt like life had thrown her an anchor shaped like a lawsuit. When he finally returned, she stiffened. He approached with a steady stride, sleeves still rolled up, expression unreadable. "Come with me," he said, not unkindly. She followed him into a quieter corridor near the side entrance. The echo of footsteps and courthouse voices faded behind them. He stopped near a window overlooking the street, then turned to face her fully. "Now," he said, "tell me everything." Lily felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I am so sorry, Mr. Cole. I swear I was desperate. I am not some manipulative person trying to trap you or anything. I did not even know who you were. I needed help for 5 minutes. That is all." He studied her, not interrupting. She took a breath and explained the entire situation as clearly as she could. The insurance clause. Her grandmother's failing health. The paperwork she was told would expire today unless she could prove she had a legal spouse. The panic that drove her into a reckless decision. And finally, the humiliation of realizing she had begged the wrong person, or maybe the right person, depending on how fate twisted it. When she finished, she expected him to laugh, or scold her, or walk away. Instead, he leaned one shoulder against the wall and let out a slow breath. "You work in my department, do you not?" "Yes," she whispered. "I handle scheduling for the accounts team." "And you have been dealing with this alone?" "There is no one else," she said softly. "My grandmother raised me. I cannot lose her healthcare. I just cannot." He looked down for a moment, and something shifted in his expression. A softness. A consideration. Something she never imagined she would see in a powerful man she barely knew. "The woman in the office," he asked, "the one you needed me to talk to, is she still available?" Lily blinked. "She should be. I think she has walk-ins until 5. "Good," he said, pushing away from the wall. "Then let us go." Lily's heart leaped into her throat. "Wait, what do you mean?" He met her eyes. "I agreed to help you. And I do not go back on my word." "But you are my boss," she whispered, almost in disbelief. "Precisely why I am not going to leave you drowning. Come on, Lily." He started walking, and she hurried after him, hardly believing this was real. They reached the insurance counter, where the officer looked up with a bored expression. "Next." Lily opened her mouth, but Mr. Cole stepped forward first. His presence shifted the entire room. Calm, confident, quietly commanding. "We are here regarding the healthcare continuation form for Lily Hart's grandmother," he said. "I am her husband. What do you need from us?" Lily felt her breath stop. The officer looked them up and down, skeptical at first, but the steady tone in his voice, the ease with which he stood beside her, and the subtle protective angle of his body made everything oddly believable. "I just need a verbal confirmation from both of you," the officer said. "That you are married and share a household." Mr. Cole looked at Lily. A silent question. A silent promise. She nodded. "Yes," she said softly. "We share a home." His voice followed. "We do." The officer stamped the form without hesitation. "You are all set." Lily exhaled, shakily, almost collapsing with relief. When they stepped away from the counter, she turned to him, voice trembling. "I do not know how to thank you." He looked down at her, eyes steady, unreadable but not cold. "You will," he said gently. "But not here." That was the moment Lily realized the real consequences of what she had started were only just beginning. Lily followed Mr. Cole out of the insurance office with her heart still beating too fast, the stamped form clutched in her hands as if it were a miracle she still did not fully understand. The hallway outside felt quieter now, almost unreal, as if the world had paused to give her a moment to breathe. But breathing was the hardest thing to do while walking beside the man she had just falsely claimed as her husband. When they reached a small alcove near the elevators, he finally stopped. She braced herself. This was the moment he would tell her she was irresponsible, reckless, or that she was going to face some form of professional consequence. She deserved all of it. Instead, he said something she did not expect. "Are you all right?" His voice was steady, but there was something else beneath it. Concern. Genuine concern. Lily blinked. Yes. I think so. I mean, my grandmother's coverage is safe. That is all that matters." He studied her face, his expression unreadable, then nodded once. "Good. That is the only reason I agreed to this." She felt a pinch in her chest, not because his words were harsh, but because they were honest. She nodded. "I know. And I am grateful. Truly." Silence stretched between them for a few seconds. The elevator chimed, doors sliding open, but neither of them stepped in. Mr. Cole glanced at her again, this time with a slightly different tone. "Lily, what you asked for was serious. You understand that, correct?" Her stomach tightened. "I know it was too much. I know I crossed a line. I swear I did not plan it. I panicked." "Your panic was justified," he replied, surprising her again. "But this still creates a complication." Her breath caught. "A complication?" "Professionally," he clarified, not unkindly. "You work under my supervision. We just pretended to be married in a government building. There are implications." She felt the blood drain from her face. "Are you saying I might lose my job?" "No," he said immediately. "I am not firing you. But I need to think about how to handle this properly." Quietly. His voice softened. "I will not let this ruin your career, Lily." Her chest tightened again, this time for a different reason. "Thank you," she whispered. "I do not deserve how kind you are being about this." He exhaled, a tired sound that hinted at a weight he carried long before today. "Kindness has nothing to do with it. You needed help. I helped." She looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers together. "Most people would have walked away." "Most people do not work for me," he said simply, then paused, as if he regretted the bluntness. But Lily understood. Powerful people acted with purpose, not impulse. He was not most people. And yet he had been the only person who stayed. The elevator chimed again, the sound echoing through the quiet hallway. Mr. Cole finally pressed the button for down. As the doors closed around them, he glanced at her once more. "There is one more thing," he said. "We need to make sure the story we told remains consistent. If the insurance office calls for verification, you and I must give the same answers." Her heart lurched. "Right. Of course. I can do that." "Good. Then listen carefully. He spoke with calm precision as the elevator descended, outlining the details they would need to remember. How long they had been married. Where they'd lived. Simple facts, nothing romantic, nothing elaborate. Still, hearing him speak about a shared home made her pulse flutter in a way she wished she could hide. When the elevator reached the ground floor, they stepped out into the golden haze of early evening sunlight. The city outside buzzed with traffic, horns, footsteps, and life moving far faster than Lily's thoughts. She turned to him. "Mr. Cole. I know I owe you a real explanation. Not just about today, but about everything leading up to it." He met her gaze, his eyes steady. "Then tell me tomorrow. Come to my office at 9. Her breath caught again, but she nodded. "I will be there." He gave her a gentle but decisive nod, then walked toward the courthouse parking lot, shoulders squared, stride confident. Lily watched him leave, her heart full of relief and dread tangled together. She had saved her grandmother's healthcare. But in doing so, she had stepped into something far bigger than she ever imagined. And tomorrow at 9 o'clock, she would discover just how deep that complication truly went. Lily barely slept. By the time the sun climbed over the skyline and spilled into her tiny apartment, she was already dressed, pacing, checking the clock every 30 seconds. 9 o'clock. His office. Her boss. The man she had begged to pretend to be her husband. Every time she replayed the memory, her stomach tightened. By 8:30 she was already on the bus, clutching her bag and rehearsing everything she needed to explain. Why she had panicked. Why she had chosen him by accident. Why she had no choice. But when the elevator doors opened on the 26th floor and she stepped into the sleek, polished corridor of the executive wing, all her rehearsed words vanished. The place felt like a different universe. Quiet carpet. Soft lighting. Abstract paintings framed in silver. It was nothing like the noisy cubicles downstairs where she normally worked. She felt like a trespasser, a simple scheduling assistant wandering into the kingdom of people who wore custom suits and made decisions that affected entire departments. His assistant, a poised woman named Marissa, glanced up from her desk. "You must be Lily Hart." Lily's pulse stumbled. "Yes. He told you I was coming." "He did," Marissa replied, then softened slightly, sensing Lily's nerves. "Go ahead. He is expecting you." Lily nodded, smoothed the front of her blouse, and pushed open the tall glass door. Mr. Cole stood by the window, sleeves rolled to his elbows again, the same way he had looked in the courthouse hallway. Except here, in his domain, he looked sharper, steadier, almost intimidating without trying. When he turned toward her, she straightened instinctively. "You are early," he said. "I did not want to be late," she replied quietly. "Good. Sit." She sat in the chair across from his desk, trying not to fidget. He watched her for a moment, as if evaluating which version of the truth she would offer. Then he spoke. "Lily, I need clarity. Why did you think you had to handle everything alone? Why did no one in your department know what you were going through?" She swallowed. "Because it is not their problem. It is mine. And I did not want anyone to think I was unreliable." "Unreliable," he repeated. "You have been one of the most consistent people in that department." She blinked. "You know that." "I know everything that happens under my supervision," he said. "But I did not know this." He paused. "Look, what we did yesterday crossed lines. Not moral lines, but administrative ones. I need to decide how we manage the consequences. That is why I wanted to understand your reasoning." Her voice softened. "I was drowning, Mr. Cole. And I did not know who to ask for help. I have no family left except my grandmother. And if she loses her healthcare, she could lose her treatment. I would do anything to protect her." His expression shifted subtly. The guarded edges softened. The man in front of her was no longer just her boss. He was someone hearing the full story for the first time. "I understand loyalty to family," he said quietly, almost to himself. More than you realize. She hesitated. Is that why you helped me? He looked at her directly. I helped you because you needed someone to step in. And because I do not like watching good people get punished for circumstances they cannot control. Her chest tightened. She had expected anger, frustration, maybe even an official warning. Not this. He took a breath. There is also another issue. Her heart jumped. What issue? Rumors, he said simply. Offices thrive on them, and yesterday I was seen leaving with you. If people misinterpret that, it could spiral into something complicated for both of us. Lily felt her stomach twist. I did not want to cause problems. I know, he said. Which is why I am handling this carefully. She hesitated. How do we fix it? We do not hide it. We clarify it. Her breath caught. Clarify what? He held her gaze, level and steady. That yesterday was a personal matter, and that I stepped in because you needed immediate help. Nothing more. Nothing inappropriate. Nothing unprofessional. Relief flooded through her so quickly she almost slumped in her chair. Thank you, she whispered. You do not have to thank me, he said. But you do have to follow my guidance. This situation is delicate. If anyone asks questions, direct them to me. Do not try to explain anything yourself. She nodded. I can do that. Good. He studied her again, his tone shifting slightly. Now. How is your grandmother today? The question caught her off guard. She is stable. The new medication seems to help. Good, he said, the corner of his mouth almost softening. Keep me updated. She stared at him, stunned. You want updates? Of course I do, he replied. I became part of the solution. I intend to see it through. Something warm flickered in her chest, a fragile thread of trust forming between them. When she finally stood to leave, he added one last instruction. Lily. She looked back. Yes? From now on, if you are in trouble, he said calmly, you come to me before you break. Her breath trembled. I will. But as she walked out of his office, she felt the truth settle deep inside her. This was no longer just a complication. It was the beginning of something she could not yet name. For the rest of the week, Lily moved through the office with a strange mixture of hyper-awareness and disbelief, as if she were walking through a life that no longer entirely belonged to her. Everyone around her carried on with their usual routines, typing, talking, printing, rushing, but she felt every glance linger half a second too long, every whispered conversation pause when she passed. She knew why. Mr. Cole had been seen with her. That alone was enough to set the rumor mill spinning like wild machinery. But he had told her not to explain anything, and she trusted him. Still, her nerves prickled with every step from the elevator to her cubicle. On Thursday afternoon, as she was finishing the last round of scheduling updates for the accounts team, Marissa appeared beside her desk. The executive assistant never came down to this floor. Lily straightened instantly. Marissa? Is something wrong? Marissa shook her head. No. Mr. Cole would like to see you in the conference room on 26. Now. Lily's stomach tightened. She grabbed her notebook even though she knew she would not need it and hurried to the elevator. When the doors opened onto the executive floor, she found the conference room door already ajar. Mr. Cole stood inside, sleeves rolled up again, studying something on the table. The moment he looked up, the tension in her shoulders softened. His presence did that to her now, grounding her even when she did not want to admit it. You wanted to see me, she asked gently. He motioned for her to come inside. Yes. Close the door, please. She did, feeling her pulse quicken. He gestured toward the table where a stack of files sat neatly in a row. I have been reviewing the work you have done over the last 6 months. She blinked. My work? Yes, he said. Your reports. Your scheduling coordination. Your reorganization of the account's calendar. It is exemplary. Her cheeks warmed. I just try to do my job well. You do more than that, he said. You have compensated for gaps in your team without being asked, and you have kept the workflow steady despite staffing issues. She stared at him, stunned. No one had ever taken the time to notice that before. I did not think anyone paid attention, she whispered. I do, he replied. And there is something else. I reviewed your file. You never missed a deadline. You never took advantage of company time. You never asked for help, even when you clearly needed it. She swallowed. I did not want to bother anyone. You are not a burden, he said quietly. You never were. Her throat tightened at the unexpected kindness in his tone. Why are you telling me all this? He held her gaze. Because your situation at home means you may need more support, and you have earned that support. So I am offering you a temporary transfer. Her breath caught. A transfer? To where? Here, he said. To the executive floor. For a moment she thought she had misheard him. I do not understand. Your organizational skills are wasted downstairs, he said. You would assist directly with upper-level scheduling and coordination. It is a significant responsibility, and it comes with a salary adjustment. Her knees nearly buckled. A salary adjustment. She could finally afford her grandmother's medications without choosing between bills and groceries. She could take her out of the cramped apartment and into somewhere safer. Why me? She asked softly. He studied her for a long moment. Because you have the discipline, the empathy, and the work ethic this floor requires. And because I trust you. Her pulse stumbled at the last sentence. But what about the rumors? She asked hesitantly. People already think there is something strange going on. He stepped closer, his tone calm. Let them think. My decisions are based on merit, not gossip. You earned this. And I will make it clear to anyone who questions it. She held his gaze, her breath shaking. I do not know what to say. Say yes, he said. Unless you do not want the position. She shook her head quickly. I want it. I really want it. His expression softened. Good. Then we will start Monday. She nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. As she turned to leave, he spoke again, his voice quieter. Lily. She paused. Yes? I meant what I said, he told her gently. If you need help, you come to me before you break. She felt a warm ache in her chest, something she was afraid to examine too closely. I will, she whispered. But as she walked out of the conference room, the truth settled deep inside her like a spark she could not extinguish. This was no longer just professional. It was personal. And she did not know whether that scared her more than it thrilled her. Monday arrived with a weight that pressed on Lily's shoulders from the moment she opened her eyes. She kept checking the time, checking her reflection, checking the new access badge clipped to her blouse, as if any of it might disappear if she blinked too hard. When the elevator doors opened onto the 26th floor, the quiet luxury of the executive wing wrapped around her like a new skin she was not sure she fit into yet. People up here did not rush. They moved with purpose, confidence, certainty. She felt like a small boat drifting into a harbor full of ships. Marissa greeted her with a warm but measured smile. Welcome to the executive floor, Lily. Let me show you your workspace. Her workspace was sleek, organized, and positioned just outside Mr. Cole's office. The thought alone made her ribs tighten. She set her bag down and tried to steady her breathing before the day began. But 10 minutes later, when she was sorting through a stack of digital calendars, she felt him before she saw him. Mr. Cole stepped out of his office with the authority of a man who controlled half the building, but when his eyes landed on her, some of that authority softened. Morning, he said. How was the weekend? She straightened. Productive. And my grandmother had a good day, which helps. He nodded. Good. I am glad. It was a simple exchange, but there was something in the way he said it that made her stomach flutter. She pushed the feeling down. She was here for work, not whatever confusing current kept pulling her toward him. The morning moved quickly. She coordinated meetings for the finance division, rerouted a call from a major vendor, and updated a presentation for the afternoon. Every time she turned around, Mr. Cole seemed to be nearby, either passing through the hallway or returning from a meeting. And every time, her pulse reacted before her brain did. Around noon, she stepped into the break room to refill her water bottle. She needed a moment, just a moment, to breathe. But before she could close her eyes, two executives entered behind her, talking in hushed but urgent tones. I do not know what Cole is thinking, one muttered. Promoting someone from the bottom floor with zero executive experience. It looks suspicious. Suspicious, the other replied. It looks personal. You saw them leave together last week. Lily froze, her fingers tightening around the bottle. If this blows up, the first man said, the board will not be happy. He is already under pressure from that merger. The last thing he needs is a messy rumor. They grabbed their coffee and walked out without noticing her, but their voices echoed long after the door closed. Lily stood still, heat rising in her chest. Suspicious. Personal. Rumor. The words felt like weights dragging her stomach down. She returned to her desk, struggling to keep her breaths even. When Mr. Cole emerged from his office a few minutes later, he immediately noticed her pale expression. Lily, he asked quietly. What happened? She shook her head too quickly. Nothing. I am fine. You are not fine, he replied, voice low and steady. Tell me. She hesitated, but lying to him felt wrong. Some people are talking. About the promotion. About us leaving the courthouse together. His jaw tightened, the first visible crack in his calm. You heard them? Yes. He exhaled slowly, then stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. Listen to me. You earned your place here. Your work justifies it. Anyone suggesting otherwise is projecting their own insecurities, not pointing out a truth. She nodded, but something still ached inside her. He watched her for a moment, then said, Come to my office. She followed him in, heart pounding. He closed the door behind them. I need you to understand something, he said. Rumors are noise. They only hurt you if you give them room to grow. And they will not grow here. I will not allow it. She looked up at him, stunned. Why do you care so much? For the first time, he hesitated. Just a beat. But enough for her to notice. Then he said, Because I know what it is like to be judged unfairly. And because you have proven yourself again and again, and I refuse to let anyone diminish that. Her breath shook. Thank you. Do not thank me, he said softly. Just do your work. Let your performance speak louder than their whispers. She nodded, but there was a new warmth spreading in her chest, something she could not ignore anymore. As she stepped out of his office, she caught her reflection in the glass wall. She looked different. Not because of the new position, but because of the way he spoke to her, the way he saw her. And for the first time, she wondered whether the people whispering in hallways were not entirely wrong. Something was happening. Something unspoken. Something neither of them had dared to name. But it was there, growing quietly between them like a spark waiting for air. The rest of the week unfolded in a rhythm Lily did not fully understand, moments of calm work blended with unexpected flashes of tension whenever she caught someone glancing at her a little too long or lowering their voice when she walked by. She tried to ignore it, tried to bury herself in the work that she genuinely enjoyed, but the air on the executive floor had shifted. Something was stirring beneath the surface. On Friday afternoon, as she finalized a schedule revision for the merger committee, Marissa appeared beside her desk with a look Lily had never seen before. a look of concern mixed with hesitation. "Lily," she said quietly, "you need to know something. And please remember I am telling you this because I think you deserve honesty." Lily's breath wavered. She set her pen down slowly. "What is going on?" Marissa glanced toward Mr. Cole's office, then lowered her voice. "Cynthia from Finance filed a report with Human Resources this morning. She claims you are receiving special treatment from Mr. Cole because of a personal relationship." Lily felt every muscle in her body go rigid. "A personal relationship?" she whispered. "She thinks we are involved." Marissa nodded. "She said she saw the two of you leave the courthouse last week and believes the promotion was emotionally motivated." Her words. Not mine. Lily's stomach twisted. "That is not true. None of that is true." "I know," Marissa said softly. "Anyone with eyes can see you are simply doing your job. But Human Resources has to investigate every report. They will call you in on Monday." Lily felt cold suddenly, as if the ground beneath her had tilted. "Does he know?" "Not yet," Marissa said. "He has been in back-to-back meetings. But he will find out very soon." Lily tried to breathe, but her chest felt too tight. The accusation alone could ruin everything she had worked for, everything he had helped her build, everything she had fought to hold steady in her life. And worse, it could hurt him. Marissa placed a gentle hand on her arm. "I will be honest with you, Lily. The timing looks bad. The promotion, the courthouse, the sudden transfer, it makes for an easy story to twist." Lily felt the sting of tears rising but forced them back down. "I did not ask for any of this," she whispered. "I know you did not," Marissa replied. "But office politics do not care about intentions." When Marissa walked away, Lily sat frozen for several long minutes, unable to think through the noise in her head. She had tried to do everything right, she had followed his instructions, she had kept quiet, she had worked harder than she ever had before. But the rumor still found her. And now it threatened both of them. At the end of the day, when the office finally quieted and people trickled out for the weekend, Mr. Cole stepped out of his office with a stack of documents in hand. He saw her still sitting at her desk, shoulders tense, eyes distant. His expression shifted instantly. "Lily," he said, "why are you still here?" She stood, her hands trembling slightly. "I need to talk to you." He sensed something in her tone and gestured her into his office. Once the door closed behind them, she whispered, "Human Resources is launching an investigation." His jaw clenched, the reaction immediate and sharp. "Who filed it?" "Cynthia from Finance." His voice deepened. "On what grounds?" "She believes we are involved," Lily said, her voice barely steady. "She saw us at the courthouse and thinks the promotion was personal." A long silence filled the room, heavy enough to press against her lungs. Then he set the documents down and stepped closer. "This is absurd," he said firmly. "And I will shut it down immediately." But Lily shook her head. "You cannot storm into Human Resources. That will make it look worse." "Worse for whom?" he asked, eyes steady on hers. "For you?" She hesitated. "For both of us." He exhaled, rubbing a hand across his jaw. "This is exactly why I wanted to handle everything carefully. I knew someone would twist the situation." "I am sorry," she whispered. "I never meant to cause problems for you." "You did not cause this," he replied. "People caused it because they do not like what they cannot explain." She closed her eyes, breathing shakily. "What do we do now?" He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then his voice lowered. "On Monday, during the investigation, you will tell the truth. Every detail. Every reason. Every step that led us to the courthouse. I will give my own statement. Clear. Direct. Professional." She nodded slowly. "And if they do not believe us?" His eyes locked onto hers with a steadiness that made her pulse tremble. "Then I will fight it," he said. "I will fight for your job. For your name. For the truth. Something warm and fragile cracked open in her chest at those words. But before she could respond, he added softly, "Lily, look at me." She lifted her eyes. "No matter what they say," he told her, "do not let them define the story. We know the truth. And I will not let fear break you." Her breath trembled. "I will try." "Do more than try," he said gently. "Stand tall. I am with you." As she left his office, the weight on her shoulders remained heavy, but for the first time, she did not feel it alone. And that terrified her far more than the investigation itself, because she was beginning to realize that the thing growing between them was no longer just a spark. It was becoming something real. Monday arrived like a storm waiting at the edge of the horizon. From the moment Lily woke up, she felt the tension humming beneath her skin, sharp and electric, as if the world were holding its breath in anticipation of what would happen next. She dressed carefully, smoothing the same blouse 3 times before she finally left her apartment, clutching her bag like she was stepping into a battlefield. By the time she reached the 26th floor, Human Resources had already sent an email requesting her presence at 10 o'clock. Her stomach tightened as she read it, but she forced herself to breathe and focus on her work until the clock hit 9:50. As she gathered her notebook, Mr. Cole stepped out of his office as if he had been waiting for her. "Are you ready?" he asked. She swallowed hard. "As ready as I can be." He held her gaze, steady and calm. "Remember what I told you. Be honest. Be clear. And let me handle the rest." His voice grounded her, just enough to steady the trembling in her hands. Human Resources occupied a quiet corner of the 12th floor, far from the buzz of both the cubicles and the executive offices. The moment Lily stepped inside the beige-colored conference room, she felt the cold weight of formality press down on her. 2 representatives sat at the table, folders open in front of them. One smiled politely, the other did not. "Ms. Hart," the man said, "thank you for coming." The woman added, "We just need to clarify a few points regarding a workplace concern that was submitted. Please understand this is standard procedure." Lily nodded, though nothing about this felt standard. They asked her to recount the events of the courthouse visit. She told them everything: the insurance issue, the panic, the mistake, the desperation, the truth. Every detail, every emotion, every choice she made. Their pens moved quickly, capturing each word. When they pressed about the promotion, she remained steady. "I did not request the transfer," she said. "I did not expect it. I did not even think it was possible. Mr. Cole reviewed my work and made that decision himself." "Do you have a personal relationship with him?" the man asked. The question hit her like a slap. "No," she breathed. "I do not." The woman looked at her carefully. "But you left the courthouse together." "Because he helped me. That is all." Her voice held firm, even though her pulse hammered in her ears. When they finished, they excused her and asked her to wait outside while they prepared for Mr. Cole's statement. Lily stepped into the hallway, pressing her hands together. A moment later, the elevator chimed, and he appeared, tall, composed, powerful in that quiet way that made everyone step aside without thinking. He stopped in front of her. "How did it go?" She forced a breath. "I told them everything." "Good," he said softly. "Now it is my turn." He entered the room, closing the door behind him. Lily sat on a bench near the window, fingers twisting in her lap as minutes stretched into an eternity. When the door finally opened, and Mr. Cole stepped out, the Human Resources team remained inside discussing paperwork. He walked toward her, his expression carefully controlled. "It is done," he said. "They have what they need." "Will it be enough?" she asked. He looked at her gently. "Yes." She wanted to believe him, but the fear still lingered in her chest. They returned to the 26th floor in silence, but the moment she stepped off the elevator, a pair of executives who had been whispering stopped mid-sentence and stared at her. Their eyes flicked between her and Mr. Cole, judgment thick in the air. She felt her face burn. Mr. Cole saw it too, He turned to her, his voice low. "Walk with me." She followed him to the far end of the hallway where the glass windows overlooked the city. He turned to face her, the afternoon light outlining his expression with a quiet intensity. "Lily," he said, "what I am about to tell you does not leave this hallway. Do you understand?" She nodded, heart pounding. "I did not promote you because of pity. I did not promote you because of obligation. I promoted you because you are exceptional at what you do." She felt her breath catch. "But there is something else," he continued. "Something I have been trying to ignore. Something that complicates all of this." Her pulse thudded in her ears. "What do you mean?" For the first time since she met him, he looked almost vulnerable. "I care about you," he said quietly. "More than a boss should. More than I intended to. And I have been fighting it, trying to keep everything professional, but this investigation forced me to confront the truth." Lily's breath trembled, the world tilting beneath her feet. "I do not want this to affect your career," he said. "Which is why I will support whatever decision you make next. If you want to transfer out of my supervision, I will arrange it. If you want distance, I will give it to you. If you want things to stay exactly as they are, I will respect that too." She stared at him, her chest tight with emotion she had been too afraid to name. "But if," he added, voice softer, "if you feel even a fraction of what I feel, then we will face it. Together. Carefully. Honestly." Emotion rose in her throat like a tide she could not hold back. She whispered, "I do not know what happens next." "You do not have to know," he replied. "You only have to choose what feels true." For the first time in her life, Lily felt the future shift, opening a path she never expected. A path she might be brave enough to take. And as she met his eyes, steady and patient, she realized she had already made her choice. The hallway felt impossibly quiet after his confession, as if the entire 26th floor had slipped into silence just to witness the moment hanging between them. Lily stood there, heart trembling, trying to understand how her life had shifted so dramatically in just a few weeks. 1 month ago she was a scheduling assistant fighting to keep her grandmother's healthcare. Now she stood in front of a man who held both her future and her heart with unexpected gentleness. "I care about you," he had said, and the words replayed in her mind like a soft echo she was afraid to lose. She took a slow breath, gathering her courage. "I need some time," she whispered. "Not to walk away, but to understand what all of this means." He nodded, his expression steady and patient. "Take all the time you need. I want you to feel safe in every decision you make." For the first time since the investigation began, she felt the pressure in her chest loosen. She spent the rest of the day working quietly, trying to focus on calendars and deadlines, but every so often her eyes drifted to his office door, and her pulse picked up again. When the workday ended, she rode the elevator down alone, letting the hum of motion steady her thoughts. Outside, the early evening sun stretched long shadows across the sidewalk. She walked to the bus stop, her mind full of everything she needed to figure out. Her grandmother. Her job. The investigation. Him. The next 3 days became a strange blur of reflection and clarity. She cooked dinner for her grandmother, listened to her stories, and realized how deeply love could anchor a person when the world felt unstable. She walked through the small apartment and noticed how she had spent years carrying burdens alone, years telling herself she did not deserve to lean on anyone. And now, for the first time, someone was offering to stand beside her, not out of obligation, not out of pity, but out of genuine care. On Wednesday morning, she returned to the office with a calmness that surprised even her. She stepped off the elevator and saw him standing near his office door, as if he had been waiting. His eyes lifted immediately when he saw her. "Lily," he said, voice softer than she had expected. "How is your grandmother?" "Better," she replied, meeting his gaze. "And I think I finally understand what I want." The flicker of hope in his eyes nearly stole her breath. She took a step closer. "I want my career," she said firmly. "I worked for it, and I will keep earning it. I want to prove myself on my own merits, not because of rumors or fear." He nodded slowly. I would expect nothing less from you. She inhaled deeply. But I also realized something else. I realized I am tired of being afraid. I am tired of assuming the worst. I am tired of pushing away anything good just because it feels risky. Her voice softened. And I do not want to push you away. A quiet warmth spread across his expression. Lily, I am not ready for anything drastic, she continued, but I am ready to see where this goes. Carefully. Honestly. Without hiding. He exhaled as if he had been holding that breath for days. Then I will follow your pace. Whatever you choose, I will match it. She smiled gently, and he returned it, something unspoken weaving between them like a promise. By noon, Human Resources sent their final email. The investigation was closed. The allegations were unfounded. No further action required. She stared at the message on her screen, relief flooding her entire body. A moment later, a quiet knock sounded on her desk. She looked up to find him standing there, holding 2 paper cups of coffee. Congratulations, he said softly. You survived your first office scandal. She laughed, the sound light and unburdened. Let us hope it is also my last. He handed her the cup and lowered his voice. Now that this is behind us, there is something I want to ask you. Her heart fluttered. What is it? He hesitated, just long enough to make her breath catch. Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow? Not as your boss. Not as a rumor. As the man who wants to know you beyond office walls. Her chest warmed. Yes, she whispered. I would like that. The rest of the day passed like sunlight breaking through clouds. She worked, she smiled, she let herself breathe. And when she left the building that evening, she found him waiting at the lobby doors, just long enough to walk her to the street and say goodnight. No touch. No pressure. Just presence. Just promise. Just the beginning of something real. As she stepped onto the bus, she looked back at him through the glass, standing tall under the warm glow of the city lights. And she realized that the moment she had begged a stranger to pretend to be her husband had become the moment she met the man who might one day ask for her hand for real. Sometimes fate did not knock. Sometimes it whispered. Sometimes it disguised itself as a mistake that changed everything.